changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
It's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration. And it's Friend Friday, and that's the day when I get to introduce you to one of our wonderful Chicken Soup for the Soul writers. And today I'm going to introduce you to Jody Fuller. Now, Jody has been in several of our books. He was in one called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Miracles Happen. He was in one called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Think Positive for Kids. Jody is a comedian, a speaker, a writer, and a soldier with 3 tours of duty in Iraq. He's currently a captain in the Alabama National Guard. And Jody is also a lifetime stutterer. And today we're going to talk about his story called A Lifetime of Stuttering. It appeared in our book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, From Lemons to Lemonade. So, Jody, why don't you tell us what you told us in that story?
Okay. Yeah. Well, first of all, I need to update something there. I'm now a major in the U.S. Army Reserve, so I've been promoted since then. So I guess congratulations to me, huh?
Yes,
so,
congratulations, and thank you for your service to our country.
Well, I appreciate that very much there. Yeah, so so that story there, that was the one that got me introduced to the Chicken Soup for the Soul family. Somebody, and I wish I remember who it was, somebody on Facebook told me to submit a story to Chicken Soup for the Soul, and I wish I knew who it was. And maybe when they listen to this podcast, they'll say, "Hey, Jody, it was me," and I can thank them at that point. But I submitted the story. And it's really been a life changer. But I grew up a stuttering kid. My brother stuttered. Years later, I found out that my grandfather stuttered on my father's side, and also my uncle stuttered. And I've stuttered my whole life. My brother stuttered as a child, and as a kid, I saw it as a hardship through about the 8th grade, and I was always a funny kid, and my father always had a great sense of humor too. So I guess that's where I got that from. But I always saw the stutter as a hardship, and I guess I kind of hated it, and it caused a lot of anxiety and stress, and I really hated to talk in class, and hated to read in class. I remember the teacher going up and down the aisle having us read aloud in class, and then the teacher calling on us to answer questions, and the anxiety building up like I was about to testify against the mafia, and then I finally said, you know what, it's just me talking, what's the big deal? So I finally just started raising my hand, and it just it immediately eased that anxiety, and I don't think I've quit talking since.
You're a good volunteer. You volunteered to serve our country in the Army. Now you volunteered in the reserves, and you changed your life in 8th grade by saying, instead of being anxious about reading out loud, I'm going to raise my hand and volunteer to do it up front. And I think that is an amazing lesson for anybody who has any kind of disability or difference, including stuttering. So I think you are a wonderful role model for everyone out there, stutterers and everybody else who has some little difference about them that they've been uncomfortable about.
Yeah, and I think that's I know we talked about the first story being lemons to lemonade, but I think that's a good caveat to the second one about thinking positive for kids, because the second story that I wrote was embracing your uniqueness, because we all have what I call perceived flaws. You know, we all have that uniqueness that we should embrace, and I love stuttering. I mean, because it makes me unique. And you know, last month at the Oscars, you know, the short film was won by a little film called Stutter, and I think that's fantastic. Now, I've got to be the worst stutterer because I've not seen that yet, and I got to be quite honest, because I've yet to see the King's Speech also.
I saw that; it was great.
I've got it on DVD, but it's still in the plastic though. But I'll watch it one day.
I noticed.
But I have seen Rocky and Jaws about 25 times apiece. So,
one of the things that I noticed, Jody, is when you stutter, it makes people stop and really listen to what you have to say. And one of the things that you said in your story was that you don't want people finishing your sentences. In your story, you said the number one pet peeve for most of us is having people finish our words or sentences. We have something to say, so let us say it. And I thought that was a great piece of advice for the 99% of us who don't have stuttering. So tell us about that.
Yeah, that's that's probably the biggest thing there. I was flying out to Las Vegas not too long ago. I do a lot of comedy with my friends, the GIs of comedy. We're all veterans, and I was on the plane, and I was sitting next to a lady, and she asked me where I was staying, and I said, well, I'm staying at and now for storytelling purposes, I fake the stutter just for storytelling purposes, just like if I was speaking with a British accent, you know, a foreign accent, you know, when I'm up on the stage speaking or doing comedy. So that's what I'm about to do for this story here. So this lady, she says, so she asked, where are you staying? I said, well, I'm staying at she said, MGM? I said, no. I said, I'm staying at the, she said, Mirage? I said, no. I said, I'm staying at the, she said, Monte Carlo? I said, lady, this ain't named that tune. You ain't gonna win nothing. You know, I said, we're actually staying at the Mandalay Bay. I said, but that's the thing. Be patient and let us get it out. It's the most annoying thing in the world when they cut us off, because you don't do that for anything else. It's like it's the only. Now, personally, I've never looked at it as a disability, but a lot of people do, and it's like the only thing that people do that type of thing for. And but you know, people look at it differently. Since 2011, I've been a very active member of the National Stuttering Association. Every year we have a big conference. This year it's in Atlanta in July. It's a big 4-day conference. It's empowerment, it's education, it's entertainment and enrichment. It's not a pity party. It's where you have 700-800 people. We call it the National Stuttering Association, but there are literally people from all over the world, and you literally meet people that have never met another stuttering person in the world. And it's so empowering and it's so comforting, whether it's stuttering or any other type of challenge or disability whatsoever, when you realize that you are not alone.
That's so great. And I know that speaking about stuttering, making it part of your comedy routines, talking about it in your motivational speeches is life-changing for the people who listen to you, not just people who stutter, but anybody.
Yeah, because when I first left active duty Army in 2006 to do comedy full-time, the idea was just to do straight comedy. But I would have people come up to me after a show and say either that was so inspiring that you get up there and talk, in spite of your stutter, your speech impediment, because that's people's number one fear. I couldn't do it. I'm so scared. Or they say, I've got a brother or my father stuttered, or I got a cousin or a friend, and it's so encouraging, and I'm going to go back and tell them about you. And I had no idea that oh gosh, see, I'm starting to trip a little bit now. I never dreamed that I'm just a kid from Opelika, Alabama. I never dreamed that I had that power.
Well, you do have that power.
Like somebody like that.
You
know?
do.
And,
so, Jody, we only have a couple of minutes left, but I just wanted to quickly ask you about your 3 tours of duty in Iraq. What did you actually do in Iraq?
Well, my first tour, I was the platoon leader for the 3rd largest platoon in the entire United States Army. We were the 296 Brigade Support Battalion for the 3rd Brigade, 2nd Infantry Division out of Fort Lewis, Washington. We were the 1st Striker Brigade in the United States Army. That was 2003, 2004. My second deployment, we were a route clearance battalion, and I was the battalion maintenance officer and that was with the Alabama National Guard. And then my last tour, we were the group headquarters for an EOD group. So we were and that's the explosive ordnance disposal. We were the bomb folks. But so each time it was a totally different experience. But I've had the honor of serving for 23 years now. And
wow. And what do you do now as a major in the Army Reserves? What is your specialty?
Well, I'm a logistics officer. So just planning, logistics, supplies, transportation, and the like.
Wow. Well, I can see why you're a multitasker in the rest of your life, because it takes that kind of skill to be a logistics officer.
Well, yeah, I mean, this I've got a big event coming up where I'm speaking this month for just last week I spoke at a big literacy event in Georgia. Last week I spoke in Tampa with my pals, the GIs of Comedy, for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation, and then I spoke at Auburn University for a disabilities group. So, and then I'm speaking for a co-op in South Alabama. So I speak to a lot of groups, and it's motivational comedy and humor. And you know what? Like I said, I'm just a stuttering kid from Opelika, Alabama, with a dream. And you know, if I was able to inspire one person, then I did my job. And what a life! And my writing got started in one newspaper